Second part. Every face, even that of the vampire in the cage, who seemed to forget the pain of his wounds, turned to the young man in black astride his horse. Each face took on an expression of wonder. With the sunlight spilling through gaps in the clouds for his backdrop, this youth of a beauty rarely seen in the world glared down at them from his mount. The instant they set eyes on his beauty, the men burned with envy, and the women became slaves of desire. However, in the next instant, those higher emotions were effortlessly blown away, and an ineffable terror took hold of the dark recesses of their psyches. It was a terror instilled by the unearthly aura of the nobility. The crowd parted, and Dee arrived at the stage without meeting so much as a second's delay. Easily taking the spear from Fern and Lena, who'd both retained a steady grip on it, he asked, "So, what do we do?" "Oh," Fern responded, his bonds of paralysis finally melted by Dee's voice. "I don't know. Where the hell you been up till now? But it sure is nice to see that at least you didn't run off with your tail between your legs. This is just perfect. No matter how you slice it, you were gonna be out of a job anyway. If you're a hunter, then act like one and give us a show before you're on your way. Right, Mayor?" The mayor hemmed and hawed. Dee's steadfast gaze poured through him. The pressure Fern put on him couldn't begin to compare to the unearthly aura radiating from that youth. Well, it was me that called him here, and his work's not quite finished yet." "That's right." The next instant, Dee leapt easily from the saddle and onto the stage. He exhibited remarkable recuperative powers for someone who'd met with an intense explosion mere hours earlier. But his stamina was probably due, at least in part, to the thing that lived in his left hand. Seemingly heedless of Lena's infatuated gaze, he went over by Fern and clicked off the power for the electrified cage, having already removed the electronic lock. "Hold it!" came the cry from what sounded like the sheriff, but, seeing the door to the cage swing open smoothly, the hitherto paralyzed crowd gave a scream and retreated. The thud reverberating behind Dee was the sound of the fleeing mare tumbling down the stairs. Dee tossed the rough wooden spear to the vampire sluggishly, slipping out of the cage. "It's strange meeting like this, but this is our destiny. Hunter and hunted. Come on." As he said this, he didn't reach for the longsword over his shoulder. The vampire started to move slowly to the right. Unable to use his right hand, he held the spear with a single finger of his left, his whole body boiling with flames of murderous rage. Without a single telltale movement, the spear became a streaking blur in flight. Seeing it pierce Dee's chest, which was exactly where it had been aimed, Lena had the breath knocked out of her. The vampire leapt at Fern, grabbing the rivet gun at his waist. The muzzle, as thick as a man's thumb, pointed skyward with a speed that escaped the naked eye. Dee was in midair. What Lena had witnessed was an afterimage left when he flew up with super speed. Along with a roar, high-energy gunpowder sent a stream of iron tacks racing at Dee's heart. With one of the most glorious sounds in the world, the iron tacks were deflected. Before he even realized they'd been parried by the drawn longsword, The vampire's gun-wielding hand was chopped off at the wrist by the naked steel slashing down from above. A backward thrust of the blade penetrated the deepest reaches of his heart. Not sparing so much as a glance at the massive form as it fell in a bloody mist, Dee started to walk toward where Fern had frozen in his tracks. Noticing that it was his left hand that held the bloody blade now pointed at Fern's throat, Lena knit her brow. The girl didn't understand that because of his opponent's injured right shoulder, Dee had fought with only his left hand. You got what you wanted. Next time, you'll be the one doing what I say. His voice was low, but would brook no resistance. Fern's pale face bobbed negligibly up and down. Dee thrust his left hand right in front of it. Seeing the red cross limned in the middle of that powerful palm, Fern's eyes shot wide open. For a few seconds, a wind pregnant with bloodlust cut across the square. Dee's hand came down, and Fern let out a sigh of relief. There was nothing, it seemed, out of the ordinary. The crowd stirred again. So, what are you going to do? Dee called down from the stage to the mayor, cleaning the blood from his long sword with one shake and, gracefully, returning it to its sheath. He must have meant what were they going to do about him? Pale-faced and still holding down the lump on his forehead, the mayor said, I know what I said a moment ago, but, well, I believe we've pretty much accomplished what we set out to do. Needless to say, you'll be paid the amount we agreed on. Good work. Fine, said Dee, nodding impassively. But I can't leave the village just yet. What? There's something I still have to look into. Or is there some reason you'd want me gone? This time it was the sheriff's turn to shudder as that gorgeous countenance turned his way. At the moment, no, he said with great difficulty. But if your being here causes us any inconvenience whatsoever, we'll have to run you out of town. Agreed. I'll tell you one thing. If this man was responsible for your difficulties, then the female victim we have should be regaining consciousness right about now. We should check on that. When the mayor and his group arrived at the barn, however, the woman they'd left there had a rough wooden stake hammered deep into her breast, and the dirt floor practically seemed to drink the lifeblood dribbling from the sleeves of her formerly white clothing, now soaked with red. Who could have done such a thing? The mayor moaned, looking to the heavens. Don't know who it was, but someone in the village must have gone off half-cocked. I don't care if having her around gave people the creeps. There was no need to put her down like this. Saying this, Fern turned his eyes up at Dee. How do we know it wasn't you? If that other guy wasn't behind all this, you still stand to make some more money. Fern's tough talk vanished in the back of his throat. Shifting his gaze from Fern back to the depths of the barn, Dee moved away from the group and started to put a saddle and saddlebags over his shoulder. Hey, wait! Where do you think you're going? The mayor asked, running over to him in a fluster. You're a suspect in this murder. We can't just let you leave town whenever you please. After all, you were here with the woman until this morning. Silently, Dee pointed in a certain direction. The mayor and sheriff followed his finger with their eyes, then turned back to him. "So that's where you're headed," said the lawman. "The abandoned water-wheel mill out there on the edge of the village. If you want me, that's where I'll be. I'll be back later for my pay." The men just watched in a daze as Dee galloped off. Page break. When Lena's classes had finished and she was getting into her wagon, Callus was waiting near the gate to the schoolyard. This was a rare occurrence, perhaps even a first. When she rode past oblivious to him, he ran after her in a state. "Please, wait up, Lena. I thought maybe we could go home together. What's gotten into you? You suddenly feel all friendly toward me. Tina and Maria and all the rest of your little friends will be none too happy with you. Spare me? They just have this one-sided thing for me." Presumptuous as it was, he got his foot up on the step of the wagon, and, after quickly taking a seat, this optimistic Romeo even went so far as to try to take the reins. Lena slapped his hand and made a disapproving face. "Don't try anything funny. Why don't you just climb back down?" "Oh, you're a cold one. I was waiting because I wanted to talk to you. Say, want to go into the woods?" "And what, pray tell, would we do in the woods? Earlier, you grabbed my hand in front of everybody. I can't imagine what you'd try if you were alone with me. If you so much as lay a finger on me, I'll knock you flat." Facing him squarely to lay down the law, Lena swallowed her words. Something resting in Callus's breast pocket glittered in her eye. A single white blossom. "The one in my window this morning. It couldn't be." "Oh, this? I picked it just for you. Here." The sharp-eyed playboy had read Lena's reaction like a book and made his opening move. She didn't say a word. This courageous girl was too kind to call him a liar. The flower passed into her pale hand. "We'll do the woods some other time," Callus said, nearly in a whisper. A dozen minutes later, as the boy watched the wagon disappear through the gate to the mayor's home, there arose in his eyes a look of cunning and self-confidence not at all appropriate for his age. Page break indicated by a small cross. The wrath of the mayor awaited Lena at home. As soon as she'd closed the door to her room, it was thrown open again. Lena's cheek rang with a slap as she whirled around, and the girl fell to the floor. "What do you think you're doing? That hurts, you know." Knowing what she'd expected had come, she still put up some spirited resistance. The mayor was furious. You stupid little girl. Embarrassing me like that in front of everybody. Standing up for a noble. A damn vampire. You little..." Lena stuck her red tongue out at the old man as his ugly face congested with rage. "Nobility or not, what's wrong with trying to stop someone alone in a cage from being killed like a wild beast?" "Did you have some kind of proof he was even a noble? He was probably just a plain old victim. If so, he wasn't that way because he wanted to be. If the nobility made me one of their kind, I sure as hell wouldn't want to go out that way. And since I wouldn't want it to be done to me, I couldn't let you do it to anyone else. You gonna lock me in a cage and have Fern stab me to death too?" The mayor's eyes were bulging in fury. Though his Adam's apple was moving, no words came out. However, even though she'd gotten off her little rant, Lena questioned her own position. Really, what's wrong with locking a noble in a cage and torturing them to death? Before Lena was born, a group of nobles had assailed the village and claimed nearly 20 victims before they were done. The tragic tableau ended with fathers driving stakes through their daughters' hearts, or husbands through their wives. What the children later heard was a tale of tragedy between loved ones told with tears of blood, and they learned a deep hatred for the nobility. In the hearts of these people, the nobility were vicious beasts to be slaughtered, a feeling that the severe frontier life helped foster. If by chance one were to be taken alive, anyone would think it perfectly natural that it would face the same fate as the vampire in the cage. "You brat! So you side with the nobility, eh? You lousy little ingrate. You won't get away with this. Hell no!" The mayor had the look of a madman. "What makes me an ingrate?" Lena shot back. "The whole reason you adopted me was because you knew what kind of mind I had and wanted to send me off to the capital, wasn't it? You were looking forward to the reward the village would get. And that's not all. You had your way with me when I didn't know anything. Who is it that comes sneaking into my room every night, even now? Even the nobility don't act like filthy beasts. Even your touch makes my skin crawl." Silence descended. Lena watched somewhat unnerved as the mayor's face swiftly paled. "Is that so? Can't even stand my touch? Good enough. I'll touch you with this, then." A black whip glistened in the mayor's right hand. Threads of drool hung from the corners of his mouth, and his eyes were laughing. The change was extraordinary, as if some darkness lurking within him had suddenly gushed to the surface. Before Lena could turn and make a break for the window, the mayor's hand caught the collar of her shirt, tearing it open with a loud rip. "Stop it! Have you lost your mind, you old fool?" A sharp crack turned her angry protests into screams. Lena fell, and in seconds, black and blue welts were rising on her back, their number growing with each snap. Pushing the howls that had risen to the top of her throat back down with all her might, Lena endured the beating. She decided she didn't want to let the likes of this man get the better of her. She tried to think about the white flower. Her expression became calm. The mayor discarded his whip and climbed on her from behind. His dark red tongue licked at her wounded flesh. "Quit it!" Lena protested, writhing. "Not a chance," said the mayor, getting her struggling hands out of the way while he kneaded her shapely breasts. "Does it hurt? I bet it does. But I'll make it better now. I'll make you feel good all over with this tongue of mine." A clammy, lukewarm sensation crept over the nape of her neck, and Lena's whole body squirmed wildly. The mayor continued speaking, even as he took pleasure from the young body struggling in his arms. His voice was like coagulated obsession. "I could keep at this and screw you to death now if I wanted to. Getting you run out of town would be child's play too, but I can't do that. After all, you're going to the capital for the sake of our little village. Mr. Myers vanished, and Fern's taken custody of Core. No doubt he'll spend the rest of his days as no more than a dim-witted errand boy. But you're special, and I can't get rid of you. On the other hand, I can't let you get away either. And I'm gonna keep having my fun with you to the day you have to leave town. The mayor's mouth clamped onto the nape of Lena's neck. A forbidden act. Unable to stand it, Lena let out a scream. Because kiss marks on the nape of the neck were far too reminiscent of the marks left by the nobility, it was taboo for even married couples to do this. And the cruelty in the heart of this old man rivaled that of the very nobility. No, don't. Stop! Please! Dee! She screamed with all her might. The old man's lips pulled away from her. With evident bitterness, he said, "Oh, so that's how it is, eh? That punk's caught your eye. Well, he's not around. I sacked him. Right about now he's setting up house all by his lonesome in the old mill. That's the perfect place for a drifter with the blood of the nobility." When Lita's head sank forward, the old man tried to push the girl down on the floor, and, for an instant, the strength went out of his arms. She swung her head right back up, smashing into the old man's nose with a terrific whack. He fell over, squealing. Vivid blood gushed from between his cupped fingers. "Girl! Now you've gone and done it!" Lena grabbed the vase off the table and smashed it over the mayor's head as he attempted to rise. Fashioned from the ribs of a fire dragon, the container was light, but it had sharp protrusions jutting from all sides. Quite a few fragments lodged in his head, and the old man's face was stained with blood. Giving a cry, he collapsed again. Lena's blood boiled. Now the situations were reversed, and, to Lena, it was a pleasant change. She pulled back her foot to kick him where it counts, but, true to form, she thought better of it and stopped. As she gave the door an energetic slam, her litany of curses carried right through it. "Screw you! I won't be coming back here any time soon. I hope your head wounds get infected and you die." Second part. End.